I think that recycling is a really important way to, make our resources last as long as possible.
You just know that when you're throwing so much stuff away that something's not right, so people start to do something about it.
I recycle because I think it's really important to minimize things that we throw out and that end up in landfills because, when we throw things out, they're not disappearing.
Almost nobody would say that recycling isn't good when you compare it to throwing it away.
There are a lot of people around who don't recycle, probably because they didn't grow up recycling. They don't think it's that important. They don't realize that recycling saves resources and saves energy, and they think it takes a lot of effort to throw something in a different bin.
I really hate recycling because I feel like it's treating the symptom, not the cause of the problem. The problem is overuse and the fact that we package everything into little things and that we don't use things effectively, and so it becomes okay because we're like, oh well, I'll just recycle it.
I think my main problem with recycling is that it's too much work, but I think my second issue with it is that I don't know if it's actually being recycled.
My name is Frank Ackerman. I'm an economist in a research institute here, the Stockholm Environment Institute's U.S. Center. Interestingly, there was a generation that had lived through World War II, my parents' generation, that remembered recycling from the war, that people sacrificed for the war effort and recycled all kinds of things during the war. And there are people who felt good about that. They liked that feeling of sacrificing and doing something together for the common good, so that you had an outpouring of much older people responding to it as well.
I remember there was a lot going on with my generation and sort of getting back to the earth again. I think that's a lot of that started happening in the late 60s and early 70s.
In the 70s, there was a whole countercultural movement which included a lot of back to the earth and environmental attitudes and people wanting to figure out how to live environmentally sustainable lives, tread more lightly on the earth. So sort of, hippies and countercultural types started talking about it, started dreaming up ways to voluntarily recycle things. In the 80s, that started to become more mainstream.
That was really I think the beginning of the modern day recycling industry with those years. Although recycling as an industry is one of the oldest industries, known to civilization. Recycling's been going on forever and ever. So it's not a new thing at all, it's just sort of a renewed thing.
The term waste paper basket came in the 1880s. It wasn't really known before that because wastes were so carefully reused.
There was a time when people didn't consume like the way they do now. Everything that they had, they reused, and the society was so different.
Our waste, our entire volume of things that we throw away, whether we throw it in a trash can or recycle it, hasn't gone down at all. So Tufts as a university isn't decreasing its use of paper, for example.
Office paper is only recycled at a rate of 66%. And so that suggests that places like Tufts and businesses are probably the really important place to be focusing on sort of increasing rates of recycling.
Every time you print out 50 pages to read of a PDF for a class in the Tisch, you're like, well, it's fine, it's on recycled paper.
Every time you recycle, you cut those fibers and it gets smaller and smaller. And so you can only recycle 5 to 7 times. So eventually you're going to have to sort of fill it in with wood products. And so the question is, how often do you do it and how much do you need to do it?
Paper is very important to recycling. It's the largest element by volume and by value in a municipal recycling program, so that the economics of a municipal recycling program will very much depend on paper markets and on how much paper they get.
Facilities take whatever they can sell. It's really just all market driven. Technically, our industry picks up the paper from us and they take it back to their facility in Framingham, Massachusetts, and they sort it and they bale it and they resell it to manufacturers who make new product with it.
The baler is a centerpiece of almost all recycling operations. You can see we named it the Big Squeeze so that we could get it into a form that we can handle it. Traditionally, the three arrows were the three links of the recycling chain. The first arrow was collection, the second arrow was processing, and the third arrow was the manufacture of new goods and the reuse of that new good. As we receive materials in, we'll have to sort out contaminants, and those things that can't be recycled will then end up in the trash piles. Those then we load out, they go to either a waste energy plant or to a landfill. Where this is step one and step two. So we've collected it, we've brought it here, we've processed it by sorting out the contaminants and baling it, and then the next step is it goes onto a truck and then sent to a paper mill, and that third arrow will be then the pulping of the material and making it of a new product.
Recycling is a huge important engine in the American economy because we do consume a lot and we have a lot of waste.
But economics drives this equation. So if it's cheaper to throw something away, then I think people will continue to, we as a society will continue to throw it away, unfortunately.
When you recycle paper, you actually create jobs. 5 times more jobs are created through the whole recycling industry of paper as opposed to the number of jobs that are created by taking the wood and making paper. So there's an economic incentive to actually recycling as well. There are times when I feel like I need to print it. I need to sort of hold on to it and imagine how I'm going to cut and move things around and reorganize. And so I tend to print things because having something physically is often much easier. I prefer to read a book than a Kindle.
All the students probably use a lot less paper than people of my generation or above.
I cannot imagine being a paperless society. We use paper for everything.
I mean, people like paper now, but I don't know whether the younger generation cares as much about, holding a book or holding a magazine or a newspaper. Recycling is great, but if you don't use the piece of paper at all in the first place, or the can or the battery, then it's actually much better for the planet because you're not cutting down a tree and using a lot of energy.
I think it is important for people to know that when you recycle a plastic water bottle, it's not just being made into a new plastic water bottle. There's a lot that's wasted, a lot of energy expended in the process. It's not just a pure thing.
We have this convenience mindset in our society, and it's hard to change those mindsets. It's really hard to sort of change the culture of, having your paper towels not look pristine white.
I know it's a stereotype that Americans, we all just buy everything in bulk and do everything the biggest, greatest way possible, but it is true, and I think there are easy ways that you can cut down on what you're using.
Recycling is a small part of what needs to be done for the environment. if anybody ever thought it was the answer, they were mistaken. I think you could see recycling as the gateway drug to environmental activism, that people get started on it and pretty soon they're on to harder stuff.